Everyone thought it was going to be you against Peter Wright. Were you surprised in the manner of Peter's performance and exit this afternoon?
You want me to answer this? I can answer this really easily.
Right, were you surprised by the manner of the performance?
No, I'm not really surprised by his performance because he's been playing crap lately, and I think it's for him time to retire anyway.
This is the story of a man who became a double world darts champion at 49 and 51, reached world number 1 at an age when most players had already walked away, and then lost 3-0 to a debutant ranked 163rd in the world, averaging just 79 points per 3 darts. This is the epic downfall of Peter Wright. Peter Wright did not arrive at the top of professional darts through the usual route. Born on the 10th of March 1970 in Livingston, West Lothian, to a 16-year-old single mother whose partner was in prison at the time, Wright never met his father. His mother relocated the family to London when Peter was 3, and they eventually settled in Suffolk, where he spent most of his life working jobs that had nothing to do with darts: builder, tyre fitter, motor mechanic, labourer, pot washer, car cleaner. His first set of darts came at 13, and because his mother couldn't afford a dartboard, he threw them at trees in the garden. Within a few years, people in London were calling him one of the most promising young players they'd seen. His first professional appearance came at the 1995 BDO World Championship at Lakeside, where he lost in the first round to eventual champion Richie Burnett, and then he essentially disappeared from professional darts for close to a decade. Local leagues in Suffolk were all he played, and when he finally came back to the PDC circuit, his first full schedule in 2008 produced total prize money of just £1,200. The financial strain nearly ended his career before it started. Wright and his wife Joanne actually planned to make the 2014 World Championship his final tournament, and it was Joanne's father who stepped in with financial backing to keep him going. None of what followed happens without Joanne Wright, and that is worth saying clearly. She owns Medusa Hair Salon in Lowestoft, and she is the person responsible for the multicoloured mohawk that made Peter one of the most recognisable sports people in Britain. The preparation typically takes between 2 and 3 hours, with the longest recorded session running 4.5 hours. The look was inspired by their daughter Naomi, and Wright has described the ritual as applying war paint before battle, calling it a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing. I turn into Peter Wright, the dart player. It makes me focus. It is part of my preparation. Joanne also manages his finances, and despite a career that would eventually earn him over £6 million in prize money, Wright receives a weekly allowance of approximately £200. He has never complained about it. The nickname Snakebite does not come from the drink. Wright has explained it himself. "I just like snakes. I'm a bit like a snake. I'm a quiet person who likes to be left alone. If you keep poking me, I'll bite you." Wright won his first PDC ranking title in October 2012 and broke into the world top 16 for the first time in late 2013. On the 1st of January 2014, he walked onto the stage at Alexandra Palace for his first PDC World Championship final, with Michael van Gerwen waiting on the other side of the oche. Wright lost 7-4 in sets, winning just 2 of the opening 14 legs, and the runner-up cheque of £100,000 was the biggest payday of his life to that point. What followed was 9 years of near misses and final appearances, and against Van Gerwen specifically, 9 consecutive televised final losses. The Van Gerwen rivalry is the central thread of Wright's career, an overall head-to-head of approximately 65-25 in the Dutchman's favour across their careers. Wright turned up to every final, every league match, every showdown, and Van Gerwen won almost all of them, and Wright kept coming back for more. New Year's Day. 2020 changed everything. Standing across from Van Gerwen in the World Championship final at Alexandra Palace, in the 10th major final between the two men, Wright averaged 102.79 over the course of the match. Van Gerwen averaged 102.88, one of the highest ever losing averages in a World Championship final. and Wright won 7-3 with 11 maximums and a checkout rate of 53%. 9 consecutive televised final losses to the same man, and Wright ended the streak by beating him in the biggest match in darts at the age of 49, becoming the oldest first-time PDC world champion in history. The prize money was £500,000. Wright was not done. The 2021 World Match Play produced 2 of the most statistically dominant performances of his career. A semi-final win over Van Gerwen, averaging 110.37, the highest average ever recorded in a World Match Play semi-final, and a final victory over Dimitri van den Berg with an average of 105.90. Then came the 3rd of January 2022 and the second World Championship final against Michael Smith, which unfolded in the kind of way you could not script. Smith led 5-4 in sets, was 2-0 up in legs in the 10th set, had one hand on the trophy. Wright changed his darts mid-match and won 9 of the next 10 legs, hitting 17 maximums and averaging 113.93 across those final 10 legs. Final score, 7-5 to Wright. Another £500,000, another world title. On the 7th of March 2022, Wright became PDC World Number 1, the 11th player to hold that position and the oldest first-time world number 1 at 51 years old, the first Scotsman to reach the summit. Career prize money had passed £6 million. He had won 8 PDC major titles. He stood at the absolute top of his sport, and within 3.5 years he would be ranked approximately 31st in the world and averaging 79 on television. The decline did not arrive all at once, and that is part of what made it so difficult to track in real time. The first signal came at the 2022/23 World Championship, where Wright arrived as the second seed and defending champion, and left in the 3rd round after losing to Kim Huybrechts, ranked 31st. Wright changed his darts during the match, which had been a habit during the good years. Huybrechts summed up what he had seen. That wasn't Peter Wright. Normally he's about 20 times better than this. The 2023/24 World Championship was worse. Seeded 4th, Wright lost in the 2nd round 3-0 to Jim Williams, an unseeded player. His average across that match was 83.87, his checkout rate a barely functional 22% from 18 attempts at the doubles, and for a man who had averaged over 102 in a World Championship final less than 2 years earlier, those numbers were not just bad, they were alarming. Premier League form collapsed in the same period. Wright failed to win a single night across all 16 weeks of the 2023 competition, finishing dead last, and in 2024 he managed just 2 wins from 18 matches, finishing bottom again, back-to-back last-place finishes in the sport's premier weekly competition for a man who had been world number 1. Wayne Mardle, the Sky Sports analyst and former world finalist, began speaking plainly about what he was watching. In February 2024, during Wright's Premier League slump, Mardle declared Wright was in the worst form of his life and needed to stop blaming the darts, and that second point cut to the heart of something that had been building for years. Wright reportedly owns over 100 sets of darts. 7 changes during the 2022 World Championship alone. During his peak years, the constant switching felt like part of the charm, an eccentric ritual of a brilliant player. During the decline, Mardle argued it had become a way of externalizing a problem that no equipment change could solve. Before the 2024 World Match Play, Wright told reporters directly, "My form is pretty terrible at the moment, to be honest. The top 32 players are there, but I'm probably not in the top 128 with the way I've been playing." He then lost in the first round to Michael Smith, averaging 95.26. The ranking slide followed the results precisely. From world number 1 in March 2022, Wright dropped to 17th by the time the 2024/25 World Championship came around. By autumn 2025, he had fallen to approximately 29th or 30th. His 2-year rolling prize money total, which had stood at approximately £898,750 in the 2021/22 season, had shrunk to roughly £312,250, a fall of around 65%. The 2025 Premier League came and went without Wright in it, the first time since 2013 he had not been selected. The 2025 Grand Slam of Darts came and went without him too, ending a 12-year consecutive streak at that tournament after he lost 5-0 to Connor Scott in qualifying, averaging 85.71. And yet, there were moments during this period that showed the old Wright had not entirely gone. In September 2024, he won the German Darts Championship, coming from 5-2 down to beat Luke Littler 8-5. Littler, the teenage sensation who had reached a World Championship final at 16, was beaten by a 54-year-old Peter Wright at a floor event, and Wright wept in the post-match interview. "I'm on the way back," he said through tears. At the 2024/25 World Championship, that same player materialised again when Wright beat defending champion Luke Humphries 4-1 in the fourth round, averaging 100.93 and converting 70% of his checkouts. Humphries, the world number one, was taken apart. Wright cried after that win too, saying, "I've been struggling with form all year, which is so annoying because I know I can still play darts." But the quarter-final against Stephen Bunting told the other story. Wright lost 5-2, unable to sustain across multiple matches what he had produced in the single match against Humphries. Mardle watched both performances and found the exact phrase that defined the problem. "He can still do it, but when he comes off, my word, he's off. He's got no B game at all." December 2025 brought the moment that crystallised everything. Arno Merck, a 29-year-old German player ranked 163rd in the world, walked out at Alexandra Palace for his first ever PDC World Championship match, and Peter Wright stood across from him in the second round. Wright won 2 legs. His checkout rate across the match came in at 13%, converting 2 of 15 attempts at the doubles. His 3-dart average was 79.20, the worst televised World Championship performance of his career. Throughout the match, Wright changed his darts multiple times. Nothing changed. Van Gerwen, still in the tournament, was asked about the result. "I'm not really surprised by his performance because he's been playing crap lately, and for him it's time to retire anyway," he offered, adding, "He can't even win a raffle these days anymore. To speak the name of Peter Wright is a waste of my breath." Mardle's response came from a completely different place, though the conclusion was no less stark. "Watching an absolute champion, a legend of our sport, someone who's helped the sport grow, play like that, I didn't enjoy it one bit. He's a winner. He's an absolute winner. I just hope he's okay because that is one of those where you will think about that. That's sleepless night stuff." Rob Cross, who had beaten Wright at the 2025 Grand Slam, offered his own reading. "I was playing a legend of the game. Peter's not at his best. He's a 2-time world champion. He's a great man, and he's given a lot to the game. I hope he can come back." Wright has rejected every suggestion that he should call it a career. After losing to Merck in December 2025, he pushed back on the retirement calls directly. "We can't play well all the time. People think we're robots. A bad couple of games, he's finished, or he's retiring. Give him a break." Earlier that same tournament, before the defeat, he had told anyone who would listen, "People say you should be retiring, you should be going to the old gits thing. I'm not ready for that yet. I'm ready to upset Luke Littler. I'm here to upset Luke Humphries." And he added, with complete sincerity, "I'm a double world champion and I want to win it for a 3rd time. I'm not too old, and you only have to play well for 2 or 3 weeks the whole year." That last point is not wrong in any technical sense. A player can spend 49 weeks of the year, averaging 85, and still lift the Sid Waddell Trophy if the right 3 weeks in December and January produce something different. Wright has done it before. The comeback win over Humphries in December 2024, where he averaged 100.93 and checked out at 70%, proved the ceiling still exists. The question that nobody can currently answer is whether he can access that ceiling reliably enough, often enough, before his ranking deteriorates to the point where the tour card goes with it. As of February 2026, Wright sits at approximately 30th or 31st on the PDC Order of Merit, on the edge of falling outside the top 32 for the first time in well over a decade. The full arc of Peter Wright's career asks something of you as a viewer, because the same qualities that made the rise so extraordinary are the ones that make the decline so hard to watch. This is a man who threw darts at trees because his mother could not afford a dartboard. A man who worked as a pot washer, nearly quit the sport for financial reasons, and lost 9 consecutive televised finals to the same opponent before dismantling him 7-3 on the biggest night in darts. A double world champion, a world number 1 at 51, £6 million in career prize money, one of the most beloved figures the sport has produced. And now, at 55, he is averaging 79 on television and losing to players who have never played a televised match before. Mardle said it without cruelty, but without flinching either. He's nearer the end of his career than the start. Whether Peter Wright accepts that, and what the next chapter looks like, is still being written. But the story of how a pot washer from Suffolk became a double world champion, reached the top of the world at 51, and then watched it all unravel. That story is already one of the strangest and most human in the history of professional darts.